David Seaborg here, evolutionary biologist and president of the World Rainforest Fund, as you know by now. I did two on plants, and this will be the third and final one because it takes three because plants do so much for the environment, and this is about how plants help their environment, supporting my Pachamama theory. Now, plants also provide a source of food, and they are the basis of the food chain. And if I were to generalize this to all photosynthetic organisms, that is, all organisms that carry out photosynthesis, uh, although phytoplankton in the ocean and in the rivers and lakes are not technically plants, they are the base, the root of the food webs in the ocean and the freshwater systems like lakes and rivers. So, all the photosynthetic organisms, which includes plants, phytoplankton, the little uh, one-celled, mainly one-celled organisms that carry out photosynthesis, and the even the cyanobacteria, which are the bacteria that can carry out photosynthesis. They are the basis of all the food webs, so that the herbivores eat the plants in all or the photosynthetic organisms in all cases. It goes up in the ocean through the crabs and shrimp and fish, but on the land, it's insects or things like deer and elk and bison and wildebeest in Africa. And then those feed the predators, and then the decomposers break down those organisms that die and recycle, and the whole system is in a cycle. It's not a food chain, it's a food web because it is branched with many, many herbivores and many predators and many decomposers and many plants, not just one chain. So, feeding the system, producing oxygen, producing shade, as I spoke of last time, but also producing habitat. So, plants have their own microbiome. So, they have a whole set of bacteria and fungi and viruses that live on them, on their leaves, and on their trunks and in their roots. So they have an ecosystem of small organisms, and then they have a whole ecosystem of insects that live on them and feed on them, and then the higher organisms, the vertebrates, and so on, the birds that nest in them, the reptiles that live on them, the animals that live in their roots underground, insects, and other arthropods. So they provide habitat and shade. And they are in symbiotic relationships with many, many organisms. For example, they shed their leaves, and the leaves decompose and fertilize the soil with nutrients. These nutrients are used by bacteria and fungi and small organisms in the soil, small things like insects and things called springtails, which decompose the leaves and use the nutrients, and that puts nutrients in the soil through recycling of the leaves and helps the plants grow. So the plants are in symbiosis with all these soil organisms, and also in symbiosis with things above ground that pollinize the flowers of the plants, such as bees, beetles, butterflies, and types of flies and mosquitoes are pollinators. And they also are in symbiosis with many vertebrates. For example, birds nest in the trees and benefit from the trees, but also when they poop, they fertilize the trees. And in fact, birds singing increase the growth of trees. So now that pretty much, it's not comprehensive, shows how plants help their environment and are also connected to the environment and helped by the many species in the environment as well, because it's a two-way relationship or a set of relationships. And this is how plants play their role in my theory, the Pachamama theory, that states that all organisms, all species in a natural condition help their environment and therefore increase biodiversity. Plants greatly increase biodiversity by helping the pollinators and the soil organisms and the herbivores and the things that benefit from their shade. And of course, the root fungi and the bacteria in their roots, the nitrogen fixing bacteria. Thank you for listening.